Hello and welcome to the Horti-Culturalists.
Hello, Mr. Ryan.
Good morning, Mr. Lucas.
It's a bit brisk, just saying.
Yeah, well, I'm tough.
You're in a shirt sleeve.
Yeah. Now, don't forget, if you enjoy what you see, please hit subscribe and then you'll get reminders. We post every week.
We do. And this week, what are we going to talk about?
Well, I thought we might talk about an interesting small tree that might fit into an average to smaller garden.
Okay, that sounds interesting. Yeah. Where geographically might we be going?
We're going to Kiwi land this morning.
Which is also known as New Zealand,
Yes.
for those of you who might not know. We might have to define
Yes, exactly.
what a small tree is. Here we are.
We are indeed.
What a beautiful tree covered exquisite flowers.
It's a really interesting plant. It's one of a small genus. It's only about 6 species.
Yep.
It's called Hoheria, which is actually a Latinization of the local Maori name for it.
So it is from
New Zealand.
There we are,
Hoheria.
Hoheria.
Yes, and this particular one is Hoheria populnea, and populnea just means poplar-like, so it has leaves like a poplar.
Oh.
Sort of, if you squint.
Yeah,
Now, I know, another taxonomist thing.
Another crazy taxonomist.
Yeah.
That looks nothing like a poplar. I am just here, because, I know, but anyway.
Yeah.
But it is just dripping in blossom.
Yeah, and we're in sort of late summer, early autumn is its flowering period.
Yeah.
So it's a tree that's actually very useful because of the period it flowers, because there's not terribly many ornamental trees in flower at this time of the year.
No.
So it flowers like mad. The bees adore it. They're buzzing around my head as we speak.
They are. There's a lot of pollinators. So
Yeah.
it's very, very bee friendly. Let's talk specifics then. But we have to define your terms. How do you define a small tree?
Yes. Now, a tree has to be big enough to actually be a tree. A lot of people say, and I mean, that's not
Okay.
very defining, but you know.
That's very clear.
Yeah, very clear.
Got to
Now,
be big enough to be a tree.
yeah. Now, my concept of a tree is if it's not big enough to be taller than your house, then it's unlikely to be more than a shrub with delusions of grandeur.
If I Google tree definition, is that what it's going to say?
No, probably not.
Okay.
But trees generally are something that have trunk or trunks, so they have a canopy,
Yeah.
and they certainly need to be tall enough that they will actually grow over the top of you.
Yeah.
And even in a small garden, unless you plant something that's as tall or taller than the house, then the house is going to become the dominant feature, not the garden. And most people would prefer to sort of pull their house into the garden, not have it as being this great edifice standing there with a whole pile of little gnomey shrubs around it. Hopefully.
Hopefully. But then again, what's the cap for a small tree?
Yeah, well, that is a very loose sort of thing as far as I'm concerned, because sometimes it's just a matter of I like that tree and it might eventually get too big, but I don't care. So that's another thing you need to take into consideration is how long is it going to be before it gets to a height that is starting to get to a height that you feel is taller than you want. You know, if you're going to plant a Huon pine in your garden, 1,000 years from now it'll be a tree. Now, so that doesn't matter, does it really?
No.
But if you're going to plant an Australian blue gum in your garden and you know that it can grow to 50 or 100 metres and it can do it incredibly quickly, then that could be an issue. So time comes into it. Height the tree grows to comes into it.
Yeah.
Width the tree grows to is also a consideration people often don't take into account.
Yeah.
But certainly it's got to be well and truly taller than me before it becomes a tree. And then it needs to, if it's going to be a small tree, probably I would have said 5 metres would be a nice sort of average size for a small tree.
Which in feet would be
About 20 odd feet-ish.
about a 20-foot high tree.
Yeah.
So this has got quite an elegant, quite conical.
Yeah, it's got a slightly
Form.
conical form, but it has actually slightly pendulous side branches, so
Yes.
it's quite elegant. This particular form of populnea, Hoheria populnea, also has quite a nice purple reverse to the leaf,
does.
which when it's tall enough to walk under, of course, then becomes a feature.
Is.
Yeah, as mine is. And there was a form in New Zealand of this tree that had the purple reverse. I don't know that mine's genetically identical, but it was called Osbornei. So it was named after a farmer called Mr. Osborne, who found it on his farm, probably just as he was cutting it down.
No, let's not malign Mr. Osborne.
Yeah.
Now no fragrance.
No fragrance of any note, but certainly the bees know how to find it.
They do. Evergreen.
It's an evergreen. There is deciduous species within the genus, which is interesting.
And are they all in New Zealand? Is it?
All New Zealand plants. Yeah. So it's quite a small genus, and it has most of them are evergreen, but there are one or two that are semi to fully deciduous as well. And there's not many things in the New Zealand flora that are deciduous, which is very similar to our own here in Australia. We have very few deciduous plants. So the 1 or 2 deciduous Hoherias, oddballs in the flora, so to speak.
The oddball of flora. Okay, so let's talk range
Yeah.
and conditions.
Range, it's reasonably frost tolerant but not completely frost hardy, so in colder parts of Europe, North America, probably no-go
No.
for that.
So it would be, we're in your garden, which you describe as cool Mediterranean.
Yeah.
So that means cold, wet winters that don't freeze, but you can get light frost.
Yep.
Warm, hot, dry summers that can also be quite chilly and wet.
Yeah, it can
So
happen.
This thrives in this condition.
It thrives here, although if we get an excessively dry summer, I do get a little bit of dieback. So it's not completely drought tolerant. I mean, coming from New Zealand, would you expect it to be, I guess, in a sense. So it's not completely drought tolerant, but if you happen to be a gardener in Ireland, good climate for growing these sorts of things. Southern parts of England, probably southern parts of North America, it would probably grow in some of the Mediterranean regions as long as they're not the really dry types of Mediterranean climates.
Yeah.
And it would certainly grow in the foothills of lots of different areas as well.
Right. Interesting. So it's a very useful tree. $1 million question. How easy is it to find?
Hoherias are about a bit, certainly in New Zealand, they'll be stock in trade. So anybody in New Zealand will probably think, why the hell is Stephen talking about a Hoheria?
Hang on about Hoheria.
Yeah,
Ho-hum, Hoheria.
yeah, that's right, exactly. I mean, it's just a general tree in New Zealand. I mean, you know, probably everybody's got one in their garden. It's a little less common here. For a long time in the 1950s and 60s, for those people who are old enough to remember back that far, and maybe into the 70s, there were 2 variegated leafed forms of this that were actually more common than the green one. There was a silver-edged one and one with a gold centre, both of which weren't completely stable, so they were inclined to throw leprous patches of green through them.
An unstable tree.
Yeah.
I like that
Yeah,
description.
and of course, variegation in a tree like this is actually somewhat counterproductive because the variegated leaves took away from the actual show of the flowers. So it could be in flower and you'd hardly notice because of the motley foliage.
So true. I hadn't have considered that, but yeah, now that you said it, it's obvious.
Yeah, and I like this one for preference, and specifically if I can get the one with the purplish reverse, because I think that's particularly pretty.
It does. And so, just as an FYI, for those who don't know, New Zealand's climate is obviously quite different to Australia, but it is generally cooler and wetter. But again,
And in some places exceedingly wetter.
lots of variation within New Zealand itself, but it is essentially quite different.
It is a damper climate, and in some cases a lot damper. It doesn't get the excessive heat that we can get in Australia, so it's a very rare day if they get something up in what we would say the mid-30s or higher. Certainly in Fahrenheit over 100 would be really rare in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So so they don't really tolerate it really hot and dry.
No, okay. But it is beautiful. And how old is this specimen? When did you plant it?
This specimen would be 15 to 18 years old only. They
So-
grow fairly quickly in height and then they fill out.
Right, so it is not that old, but it looks quite
Very mature.
Yeah.
And if you do have a good sized Hoheria in the garden and it does set seed, seed is probably the easiest way to propagate
I
it.
was going to say propagation, so seed. You wouldn't try cutting.
Well, it can be struck from cuttings. The variegated ones were all propagated vegetatively, but I find I get the odd self-sown seedling that comes up around the garden, and certainly if I want to grow a batch of it, I would collect seed and sow it, and it germinates comparatively easily. Sown in the autumn, germinates in the spring.
There you go. Mr. Ryan, I am thrilled. This is such a beautiful tree. It is so eye-catching as well. Very glad that you shared it with us. Thank you.
That's a pleasure.
And we look forward to seeing you next week. Who knows
Yeah, we could be anywhere talking about any plant.
what the adventure might be. So do subscribe and hit like. Feel free to ask a question. Mr. Ryan is the guru. He will answer. I won't.
I'll do my very best.
So until next week, thanks for watching and we'll see you then.
Bye all.